ASUS Strix Scar 18 is likely the most powerful gaming notebook you can get your hands on, but with that being said, it is also the most expensive gaming notebook you can get your hands on too. The RTX 4070 model will cost you 79,999 Rand, and the RTX 4090 model costs an eye-watering 87,999 Rand. In all honesty, I have absolutely no clue who ASUS is targeting with these notebooks. For almost 90,000 Rand, you can build yourself a pretty fantastic RTX 4090 desktop, throw in a 4K monitor, and even some really fancy accessories. I get it, technology is expensive, and cramming an Intel Core i9, 32GB of RAM, and an RTX 4090 into a notebook doesn't come cheap. But the argument of, oh, you can build a PC with that price is back on the table now, because you can. But the absolutely ridiculous pricing aside, the ASUS Strix Scar 18 is a dream machine. It includes everything but the kitchen sink in it. ASUS hasn't skimped out on a single feature here. It has all the RGB you could ever want, a premium design and build, a great keyboard and trackpad, and the display is magnificent. If you own this, you'll never be in the need for anything else. It just checks every single box. Of course, gaming on this is a whole other story on its own. The 18-inch display shines across every title, and DLSS3 pulls off some performance I haven't seen in a notebook before. So is giving up a small car to buy a notebook worth it? Let's dive in. Similar to last year's model, the ASUS Strix Scar 18 model doesn't look very different. While ASUS claims the product has a new design, I can't say it has been overhauled by any means. Sure, there are some tweaks here and there. The display lip has been dropped to accommodate the new 18-inch 19x10 panel, and there's now RGB lighting at the back, which is pretty cool if you ask me. ASUS has also completely dropped its Keystone port from this model. Clearly, the technology which lets you copy your Armoury Crate profiles across from one ASUS device to the other wasn't as successful as I thought it would be. It's completely gone here. The notebook also comes with ASUS armor caps, which are plastic detachable thingamabobs that slide off and on the face. You can buy more of them and even 3D print your own. I have a feeling that when I review the 2024 model, ASUS will likely scrap this feature too. I just don't get the point of these caps whatsoever. The overall shell of the ASUS Strix Scar 18 is quite stylish, even if it isn't drastically different from last year's model. It is entirely made of plastic and there's no metal on the case shell here at all. The keyboard face slowly goes from black to translucent, but even underneath the clear parts of the keyboard, it's just a boring metal plate. It would have been cool to see some heat pipes or a fan here instead. Underneath the device, you'll find some hefty fins and thermal holes used to suck up air to keep the notebook cool. There's also a really cool ROG logo in the middle, which doubles up as feet and grip. The ASUS Strix Scar 18 packs a full-size keyboard, but it also includes 5 macro keys which can be tweaked in Armoury Crate. The arrow keys are also off-center, which threw me off at first. The number pad keys are also much thinner than most keyboards out there, and it took some time to get used to. I kept pressing 2 keys at once due to my large fingers. I did enjoy the trackpad a lot. The larger size made it easier to get around and clicking felt tactile and precise. Of course, the big feature on this notebook is the 18-inch display. Keep in mind that just because the Strix Scar has an 18-inch panel in comparison to the 17-inch panel from last year's model, doesn't mean the notebook is any bigger. The extra 1 inch has been added to the bottom of the display instead, turning it from a 16:9 into a 16:10 display. ASUS is also pulling an Apple and has made a special name for its displays called Nebula. There isn't anything magically different about these panels compared to other 18-inch 240Hz panels, but ASUS has calibrated them perfectly. This model came with a 240Hz 2560x1600 display with a peak brightness of 500 nits. I was impressed by how anti-reflective the panel was, and the 240Hz refresh rate made everything look and feel amazing. The 18-inch panel also means there's just a tiny bit more screen space for work and games. I'm just saying that there's a lot of screen space on this notebook. It also packs Dolby Vision support, is Pantone color validated, has 100% DCI-P3 color coverage, and has G-Sync support. As for the ports and I/O, the ASUS Strix Scar 18 includes everything you'll need. On the left, you'll find a power port, a 2.5GB LAN port, one USB Type-C port with Thunderbolt, another USB Type-C with external G-Sync support, 5V charging and DisplayPort 1.4 support. There's also an HDMI 2.1 port on the left and an audio jack combo. On the right, you'll only find 2 USB Type-A 3.2 ports. The notebook also packs a 720p camera at the top of the display, Wi-Fi 6E support, and a 90W battery. ASUS has packed the Strix Scar 18 with the best possible hardware around. It includes an Intel Core i9-13980HX and an NVIDIA RTX 4090. It also came equipped with 32GB of DDR5 RAM, upgradable to 64GB. You can also kit the notebook out with 4TB of SSD storage too. This specific model came with 2TB. The overall system power can hit 240 watts on this notebook. 65 watts goes to the CPU and the remainder 175 watts goes to the GPU. Keep in mind that by default the CPU caps at 55 watts, but then can be given another 10 watts by manually configuring it. Dynamic boost also allows the GPU to go from 150 watts to 175 watts. With this in mind, I could not wait to put this notebook to the test. I made sure to test out some newer titles including Returnal, as well as test out DLSS 3 across A Plague Tale and Cyberpunk 2077. ASUS offers a wide range of different modes to put this notebook into when playing games. When I wasn't playing, I kept it on silent, which is rather impressive when it came to the fan noise. Of course, anything over the silent mode kicked these fans into gear and they started blowing wind. The different modes also use different power settings, so silent would be the one to use when you're just going about your daily stuff on the notebook. Keep in mind that this manual mode left the notebook's wattage at 240 watts. This includes the CPU maxed out and the GPU maxed out at the same time. When testing out the notebook, I measured temperatures in the mid 90 degrees Celsius. During heavy tests, this was at max 95 degrees. I measured this after running Returnal benchmarks for 60 minutes straight. This game mostly maxed out the GPU and performed in the results I've shown. I didn't notice any performance difference between the GPUs running at say 65 degrees and 90 degrees Celsius. The notebook still delivered the same performance. As for the fans, during the heavy tests, I was actually quite surprised at how they performed. While the 90 degrees Celsius is quite high for testing, the fan noise wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Of course, you can definitely hear the fan and they do get in the way, but I have reviewed a lot worse notebooks in the past. Notebooks that got much louder than this ASUS one and didn't pack the same internals and power at the same time. In manual mode, the fan sound exceeded 55 decibels, which isn't bad at all. But I was even more impressed to discover that silent mode is really silent. The fans turn off completely when the workload remains under 60 degrees Celsius across the CPU and GPU. Once it goes higher, they turn on to cool things down and then turn off again. This is achieved by lowering the frame rate on the unit to 60 frames per second in silent mode. This helps reduce the strain on the internals. I just thought it was pretty cool to finally have a silent notebook. Terms and conditions apply. As for the battery, it's just okay. Unfortunately, while this unit does have a 90-watt battery, there's a lot going on in this notebook that draws power, from the giant screen to the sensors that detect heat to the RGB and more. This means the battery life doesn't go far. You can get over 10 hours on this notebook if you disable every light, turn the display down to like 10% brightness and nudge the volume down too. You'll need some heavy sacrifice to get there. However, general use like web browsing and other daily tasks will net you around 6 to 7 hours of power consumption. And you'll actually be able to see stuff on the screen because the brightness will be at 50%. The notebook also comes with a humongous power brick. This 330-watt adapter is heavy and chunky. Thankfully, you can also charge the notebook with the Thunderbolt port if you get a compatible USB-C adapter. Of course, this is sold separately and not included in the 87,000 Rand purchase. That way, you don't have to lug the huge one around when you're traveling. After spending a few weeks with the ASUS Strix Scar 18, I did enjoy my time with it, but even with its incredible power and awesome display, I still don't know who this notebook has been made for. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are gamers out there rolling in money who will jump at the opportunity to buy a portable RTX 4090 notebook. But for this price, you can really build a dream desktop and slap a fully fledged RTX 4090 that isn't constrained by mobile performance. And that is saying a lot given how incredibly expensive the RTX 4090 is on its own. Actually, with 87,000 Rand, you can even build an entire ASUS desktop and really splurge on the most expensive PC brand on the market at the same time. You don't even have to settle for the cheaper brands. You get what I'm saying here. This price is a horror story come to life, and I'm someone who usually enjoys the finer, more expensive things in life. But it goes without saying that if you're looking for a beastly notebook with possibly the best components on the market at the moment, this is it. You just need to be ready to pay a lot of money to experience it. So those are my thoughts on the ASUS Strix Scar 18. Are you looking to pick this notebook up? Please comment down below so we can be friends. I really need more rich friends in my life. Thanks for watching, and please do consider liking and subscribing, and visit www.glitch.online for more gaming tech reviews and previews. Until next time, farewell.